Dodge, Don's Garage, which is actually kind of a neat thing. But first, they actually had some cars on display out here. It's just kind of different. So, how about Judy Lilly Super Stock Volare Survivor? I mean, seriously, a real. Yeah, I have a first crisis sponsor of 360, 450. Oh my God, 456s, WT heads, 1050. Good God. Wow, with a 360. I have to dive deep on this because this is fascinating. Because there are a few really good women drivers. I have never heard of Judy Lilly. Well, I want to take a little interlude from this walk into Don's garage, kind of talk about that car that had Judy Lilly's name on the side of it. That was her last real race car. And it's very fascinating, the story of Judy Lilly, because she literally was one of the first mainstream female drag racers. And she did earn the nickname Miss Mighty Mopar. So she was actually a hairdresser by trade, and her husband was racing at the time a 1961 Corvette. Now they were at the track, and she noticed that her husband just did normal lift and clutch, lifting, clutch, shifting, while other drag racers did power shifting, which is basically no lifting, and lots of times no clutch. And she, said, "Hey, maybe you should try this." And he went, "Well, you know what? If you think you can do it, you do it." So then she did it, and then she was actually pretty good at it. So then he stopped drag racing. She did. And, well, she basically did this. That was in 1961, 62. She basically did this until the 1966, where she was at the NHRA World Finals, and she was changing the rear end on this Corvette. Yeah, so she was actually doing a rear end swap herself in the pits when a man named Dale Reeker, who was the head of Chrysler Racing, approached her and said, "We can use someone like you," as she was laying on the car covered in grease. Well, they offered her something wonderful. She got a brand new 1967 Belvedere stripper. Nothing in it, no radio, no heater, no insulation, no nothing. Just a race car, a Hemi, an 833, and a Dana. Now, she was able to secure a sponsor from one of the local Colorado dealerships, and she raced in 1967 with this Belvedere, winning Super Stock Eliminator at the Denver High Altitude Nationals. Now, she did so well during that 67 year, Chrysler actually offered her and gave her a 1968 Super Stock Hemi Barracuda. 1 of 50 made. Well, she got one. And she raced that very successfully for the next 2 years until she made it to the finals at the Spring Nationals in 1970. But she really hit it off when they gave her the Duster with the Hemi in it. She won the Super Stock Nationals at the Winter Nationals in 1972. 73, she was a runner-up there at the Winter Nationals. 75, she won the Gator Nationals. She was Driver of the Year in 1972, 1976, and 1977. That's pretty freaking impressive. And if you look at the pictures, I mean, she is not large of stature. This is actually pretty amazing. And she looks like she'd be your history teacher in high school. It's actually kind of an interesting story. Now, the car we saw was her last Super Stocker, and she raced this until she retired in 1978. And, of course, this was the first car that did not have a Hemi in it, because Chrysler at that point, was left of them, wanted them to drive something you could buy on this off the shelf, so it had a 360 with a 727 in it. So when she retired in 78, she made a few attempts at comebacks, last one being in 1984, and then just retired. But in 2005, she was elected to the Motorsports Hall of Fame. Pretty impressive stuff. In fact, she was so important to Mopar that when they released the Challenger Drag Pack in 2008, it wasn't just Don Garlits they had there that were launching the car. She was there also. Here's the picture of them leaving the line. That's Don's car on the other side. We're going to see a little bit later in the video because he has two of them. But this is his one he got in 2008. And this was done at Bandimere Drag Strip, and that is them leaving the line, launching these cars, so to speak. So, and I think that was her last real appearance on a drag car. And that is a pretty fitting end of a career for someone named Miss Mighty Mopar. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us. She passed in 2022, and the world lost a really, really interesting woman at that point, because that took some moxie to be a drag racer, a female drag racer in the early 60s, especially driving 4-speeds. That's pretty impressive stuff. So let us continue the tour of Don's garage. Oh my God. So something nobody ever knew, the Big Daddy Ram. So that's how big a deal that Don Garlits was with Chrysler. They actually made a truck edition for him. Some large Hemi Challenger action. And of course, a new, I guess it's a red 170. Yeah, it's a 170. I was talking to the owner the other night on this car. He actually just went to Bradenton. So, yeah, it ran basically a 9-second flat. So, yeah, scary. Okay. Oh, so here we go. This is one of Don's one of his older dragsters. This was a 67 Swamp Rat, 12A. This is the ones that still have the engines in the front. These are very dangerous because you're basically sitting. There's the rear end. So these types of cars were really, really dangerous. You had to be brave to drive these cars, because if that motor blew up, it could kill you. Or if the clutch blew up, it could kill you. If the rear end blew up, it could kill you. It's kind of dangerous. So this is Don's Dakota, but of course has a modern Hemi in it because it's Don's Dakota. Wow, what is that? Oh, Don's actually starting an engine on a run stand. Wow. Damn.
635 horse.
Wow.
Chris has got all this shit running. Yeah.
So this is Don's personal cars. And Don can't hear. So these are all Don's cars that are not in the museum. Yeah. What are Shirley Modani's? Wow. Final pass November 2003. 4.7 to 317 miles an hour. Jesus. Wow. So he's actually the designer of the Corvette, the father of the Corvette. Basically did this hot rod. Oh my goodness. Head forward. Swap rod in 1956 with a 354 Hemi in it. That looks incredibly dangerous. See? From Tampa, Florida. I know where that is. Wow.
Did we get to come back in here?
And see, there's the wonderful safety equipment he got to wear. That's why he's missing a piece of his foot and his arms got burned really bad. And he can't hear. Absolutely just brave. That's your safety stuff. Brave. And he was a Ford guy beforehand. Yes, this is a real super stock. And so is this. Wow. So yeah. This is absolutely amazing. And there's cars on the second level. So yeah. So this is kind of just a walkthrough of Don's garage, and he has his own run stands. He still works on cars. 94 years old. Absolutely amazing. Bunch of flatheads. Huh, crazy. Hey. Yeah, he was originally a Ford guy. It's up there, man. Got this funny cars. Okay. So. If you need any spare parts, I think everything's for sale. It's Don. So yeah, that was the inside of Don's garage. Very fascinating, different. And we got to see Don start up a Hemi that was loud, and he couldn't hear it. It's cool. So I hope it was kind of enjoyable to walk around. I didn't want to talk too loud because walking around. But hopefully you got something out of it. If you enjoyed it, hey, like, subscribe, share, whatever, and comment. If you have any memories of any of the drag racing stuff, found anything cool or anything like that, just let me know. And if you have something, fun or cool or oh Christ, there's a whole bunch of them here. Just take it out. You'll make someone's day, probably your own.